Joining me now to talk about that is Republican Senator John Barrasso of Wyoming. He also serves on the Foreign Relations Committee. Welcome, sir.
Thanks, Carol. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. The Mexican president, he says the American president is stripping Mexicans of their dignity. Is that what you want to hear from an ally and a trade partner in a neighboring country?
Well, I think it should be no surprise after the campaign that Donald Trump is a man of his word, and he's made a number of promises that helped him get the nomination and the election. And we're going to be meeting with him today at noon. He's joining us at the Republican retreat. We're in Philadelphia. The House and the Senate are here. I expect that President Trump is going to address that. We also have Theresa May, the Prime Minister of Britain, here today, and she's going to be meeting with President Trump. So you have a president of the United States, newly in office, who is committed to making sure that the United States is the most powerful, respected country around the world. He's done that with an all-star cabinet, and he's doing that now, reaching out and making decisions with leaders of other countries.
So if the Mexican president does cancel his trip to Washington, A, what would the fallout be, if anything? And B, would that prove to the world that the United States is the strongest, greatest country in the world?
Well, I think that he ought to keep his commitment to come to the United States and to meet with President Trump. I think that would be the right thing to do, and I think it's important to continue dialogue, continue discussions, and I expect that's actually what's going to happen.
Okay, so you want the Mexican president to come here, but President Trump, it appears like he's up in the air about the idea right now, and I'll read you his tweet that he sent out just moments ago. He says the U.S. has a $60 billion trade deficit with Mexico. It's been a one-sided deal from the beginning of NAFTA with massive numbers of jobs and companies lost. If Mexico is unwilling to pay for the badly needed wall, then it would be better to cancel the upcoming meeting. So what's the underlying message here from President Trump?
Well, I expect he's going to address that today at our lunch. Right now, we are so focused, as you talked about, the job loss from the United States. We are focused at the Republican retreat on jobs, the economy, in addition to national security. And national security is not just about border security. It's also about economic security, energy security, all of the things that we've campaigned on and the things that we want to do to restore and put America in a situation where we have a strong and healthy economy, and that we are a safe, strong, and secure nation, and that's why national security is a part of our discussions.
Well, and our allies are very important, right? So anxiety is building with Mexico, right? But it's also building with other allies. For example, other allies are uneasy with Mr. Trump. Jordan's parliament, they condemn the U.S. plan to move the Israeli embassy to Jerusalem, saying it fuels violence. It threatens to inflame the passions of Arab and Muslim nations. Senator, this might be an initial idea of Mr. Trump's, but he said it out loud, and that appears to be hard for even America's friends to decipher what he exactly means.
Well, if you're talking about the moving of the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, I support that. I understand that Bill Clinton supported it. George W. Bush has supported it. I think it's the right thing to do, and I would encourage President Trump to do it.
Isn't Jordan a very important ally in the Middle East and also in the fight against ISIS? And if you alienate Jordan by doing something like this prematurely, that might not be such a good thing?
Well, Donald Trump was elected based on a very strong campaign where he made many statements, and the American people, I believe, are expecting him to keep to those statements. And this is one that he has made a promise on. The other is the wall, and I am saying that I think that he has surrounded himself with an incredible team, including Rex Tillerson as Secretary of State, who knows the world, knows the interrelationships, knows how American
I'm
power
asking you, as a member of the Foreign Relations Committee, as a member of the Foreign Relations Committee, should we be concerned not only about what Jordan did in its parliament, but here's another example for you: torture. Right? So most experts say torture does not work, including Mr. Trump's Defense Secretary James Mattis. Yet Mr. Trump insists we reinstate these black sites. Listen to what he told ABC yesterday.
President Obama said the U.S. does not torture. Will you say that?
Well, I have a general who I have great respect for, General Mattis, who said, I was a little surprised, who said he's not a believer in torture. I have spoken to others in intelligence And they are big believers in, as an example, waterboarding.
You did tell me.
Because they say it does work.
So, Senator, this kind of talk, according to many experts, inflames terrorists, and it also upsets our allies. Britain's prime minister, for example, was forced to repeat her country's opposition to torture. So again, is this just causing unnecessary anxiety with our allies, or does Mr. Trump really mean what he says?
Well, the law is very clear and settled in the United States. We use the Army Field Manual that passed and was signed into law. We do not torture individuals. I actually voted against the law that was signed by President Obama, because I think if Americans are in danger, that we need to be able to use techniques that we know work, that are not torture. But right now, by the law that President Obama signed, they're limited so that the bad guys get to say, okay, these are the only things they can do to us. Let's practice so we don't tell them what they want to know. President Obama has essentially stopped, when he was president,
But I want to talk about
capturing
President Trump.
others. And now you talk about the risk for the world. We've released so many from Gitmo, they have gone back into the fight.
Should Mr. Trump be saying these things about torture? Does he really mean the things he says, and that he'll use the Justice Department to change the law?
Well, I expect that he's going to address a number of these things today when he meets with a Republican retreat, the House and the Senate members in Philadelphia. I'm looking forward to hearing from him, as well as from Vice President Pence, to see what they address. But the law of the land is settled at this point.
All right, Republican Senator John Barrasso of Wyoming, thanks for joining me this morning.